Does anybody have any questions at all? Do we have, oh, there's a couple of questions. Yes, you want to pick, Tom?
You want me to pick?
Sure,
Right
pick.
here, start with you, sir.
So, are you guys going to pursue crowdfunding?
Are we going to pursue crowdfunding? What's an interesting thing to talk about, because crowdfunding actually, I mean, sure it existed in some form or another, but no one had ever kickstarted an album even a few years ago when we made this. So it's incredible how much technology has changed, and as some people talked about in the film, it's incredible what technology has done. It's creating a more transparent system. It's creating the ability for us to deal directly with you without having a negotiator in between, a middleman who often makes that experience dreadful, so that we can talk to each other and say, hey, this is what I'm doing, and you can say, yeah, it sounds terrible, or else, yeah, that sounds pretty fun, I want a little piece of that. Crowdsourcing, crowdfunding, I think is a really, really interesting thing, and with platforms like Vert as well, there are a lot of possibilities in the future to distribute your work as an artist directly to people out there without the bullshit. Yeah.
So take a question back there in the corner. Yes, you standing up.
Yes. Just scream it out as loud as you can. I wish they took 25%. They take more like 125%. But she's talking about ASCAP, and in the States we have BMI as well. And those are people who are, it's so confusing to talk about the record business, and it really doesn't have to be. That's one thing that needs to be fixed. But this was really largely a fight about the sale of our records, the sale of recorded music. That's what the record business is about. Some of that other stuff is on the publishing side, and that's a different battle entirely. Artifact Part 2.
Jared, I have a question. Do you think that EMI and the record business have kind of come to terms with you making this movie, or do you think this movie makes anyone nervous?
Well, there are some people from EMI here. Hold on. This is Canada, we're nice here. But there are some people who are brave enough to come from the Canadian label, and I do want to make it clear that we aren't anti-record company, we're not anti-company, we are anti-greed, we're anti-corruption. That's the point of the film, that we all deserve to be treated fairly. And I mean, it's so funny because I'm sure there are people here that always thought that, you know, we're in a band, those guys are filthy rich, they're making so much money, and you know, that we're not doing this for money. We never did it for money, we did it for love. And the same reason that a lot of you are doing it for as well. But my point is that a lot of the people most of the people at the record company are really great people. They are people who help bands realize their goals and dreams around the world. It's those few people at the top that are keeping in place a system that screws the artist, and a lot of times actually screws the employee, rather than rewarding everybody for success. And that's a corporate problem. That's not just a record business problem. So, you know, I'm curious to talk to the people from EMI. Where are you guys? Are you here? Oh, they're right there, hiding. And right in the middle. Woo! Is it as bad as you thought? They're not shaking their head, no. Anyway, but these three people in particular have been really allies for us. And as you can see, we interviewed quite a few people in the movie. Some of them still worked at EMI when we interviewed them, and they either lost their jobs or were fired or just left on their own free will. But it's a challenging situation, and I think that a lot of people in the film were really eager to tell their story, and everybody knows what's going on. It's not a perfect system, and you know, understanding helps it get better.
Shannon, I'd love to hear from you. Like, you know, as you watch this and revisit this time in your life. What is watching the movie, you know, bring to mind for you?
Just the fight, the struggle. I mean, trying to create and trying to
share something that's coming from your soul, and that, being interrupted by this monster, is kind of annoying. And it's hard to do, and it's very challenging.
It was brutal for, all of us. Everybody that was a part of the making of the record was impacted in a really deep way. I tried to take the burden myself because I handle a lot of the day in, day out business of the band. But it creeped in. As you can see, there's that one scene where Shannon and I get in a fight, and not really a fight. There's another scene that we could have had in there. Let's save that for the DVD.
Yeah, that was a good one.
There's some slamming doors and stuff around there. Some beard pulling. The old Louisiana beard puller.
Rolling up my sleeves now, getting ready.
I almost cut the scene out a week before this Toronto of my brother and I getting into that little argument because I thought the film is so filled with conflict. Why add another scene? But I kept it in because I was listening to the people, the editors that are working so hard on this, and everyone kind of thought that it was important to see how the band was affected. Anyone else have a question?
Yeah, we've got time for a couple of, let's take a question from someone who's
we
traveled
got all
really
the time
far.
you need.
We got a midnight movie to get in.
Who's traveled far and wide?
Who's traveled far? You gotta tell us where you...
Everybody's traveled far.
Okay, this lady standing up, tell us where you traveled from.
From Turkey.
Okay, who's here from farther than Turkey? Who's got Turkey?
It's pretty far, bud.
Okay.
Chicago. Oh, Australia.
Okay, we'll
Both on the beach.
next. First Turkey. Question from Turkey.
Okay. First of all, I'm thankful for that. This
You're welcome.
really helped me get through my bad time. And when I watched the movie, I was really shocked because you were really stressed and depressed. And I'm still depressed about what happened throughout the whole movie. And I was wondering, what gave you the strength to get through all this problem and keep on creating when you have a $30 million worth of distraction?
Question from Turkey is how did you get through all these stressful times?
For me, it was just sticking close to, my family, Jared. As cheesy as that sounds, but it's true. We share the same goal, and he was, like he said, and I agree, he was the front runner in the whole thing and dealt with everything on the front line, so I just stood by his side.
I think that we had there's no fight like the fight of the just. And we felt like we had a great reason to go to war. If there is ever a great reason, I don't know. But certainly if there is a great reason, this was a great reason. We were out for the truth. And we had lots of days of doubt. And you hear and feel some of it in the film. But we kept putting one foot in front of the other and marching forward no matter what, and that's what you got to do if you are in the business of making your dreams your reality.
Where's Australia? We'll get to Toronto.
There's so many more battles. There's so many more,
I think there's a lot of improvement in front of us as well. I think we didn't re-sign a perfect deal, but you can always keep fighting too. There's a quote, I can't remember if it made it in his cut. He who knows when to fight and when to make peace is ultimately the victorious, right? And you've got to, and I like what Flood said, who you would have thought that Flood would say, go independent, sell your record on the beach in Venice, and with a ukulele in one hand and, whatever, because he's really independent-minded, but his advice weighed heavy on me, is fight it from the inside, and sometimes you can change a lot without necessarily too much of an obvious confrontation. I think this film is, in a way, a continuation of the battle. I hope that artists, so people at the label watch the film, and rather than cursing my name, they go, maybe there's a point there, and maybe we can all be really profitable, have a great company, and leave everyone feeling like they're being treated fairly. Because I think you can do that. I think you can run companies and have customers and employees be really happy about their relationship. So,
All right, let's take a question from Toronto. Who's got- Okay.
whoa!
The loud one, the loud one.
A drunk question from Toronto. Thank you. Get ready, everybody. It's one of them.
The world's problem is standing on our stage, and the love from these guys is unbelievable. They're fans. We know each other. I am from Toronto. I'm an old lady. But I have friends from all over the world that love 30 Seconds to Mars, and we have been
Love you too.
All right, I don't know why I'm going for all the extroverts here, but
Hey, they're the ones that make themselves heard in the scene. Hey, you go for it.
okay, the guy who looks like he's in a straitjacket.
There you go.
As a hopeful artist, an emerging artist, to an established artist, what kind of advice would you give to a music group that would love to have some level of success but avoid the pratfalls that come with, signing an early deal? Like, we handed you a CD earlier, and we really just want to find out, like, how do we avoid going through those types of struggles and still find some measure of success?
Advice to emerging artists.
Yeah, well,
in the music industry as it exists today.
sure. I would say this: do as much as you can on your own, and make an album yourself. You have no excuse not to share your music with the world. There are all kinds of platforms out there. Shoot videos yourself. You can do it with a fucking iPhone. Do it yourself as much as you can, as long as you can. Build your audience as much as you can, as long as you can. Then you'll have more power, you'll have more control, and you'll make a better deal. And you'll grow your band and be better at what you do. I think a lot of people rush a deal. It used to be, when we signed back in the 1800s, it used to be very expensive to make an album. It's not that expensive to make an album that sounds pretty good these days. You can do it for relatively cheap.